I'm Nat Silver, and there's going to be an exhibition this fall, the first exhibition in the United States on Carlo Crivelli, called Ornament and Illusion, Carlo Crivelli of Venice. We're here in the Raphael room of the Gardner Museum, looking at Crivelli's wonderful St. George slaying the dragon painting. And before we start talking about it today, I just wanted to give everyone a little background as to how it got here to Boston and how it got where it is here in the building. When Gardner died in 1924, the installation of her collection, as it was at the time, became fixed. She chose in her will to stipulate that the museum would be open to the public in perpetuity, but none of the works of art could be moved within the building. What that meant is that what you're seeing here is largely a product of that sort of last series of revisions that she made to her collection. And one of the challenges we have today as curators of this collection is how do we bring these paintings in their places in the collection together with other works of art if we can't move the paintings around their rooms. But what we do have the opportunity of doing is taking it out of this building, bringing it into our new exhibition space, thereby creating the opportunity to surround it with other works of art that create revealing juxtapositions.
Can you talk a little bit about your process, sort of like how do you start? What are the different ways that you learn about an artwork when you're planning to use it for exhibition?
Sure. One is that you do research on the painting in your collections. If you went to a book on Crivelli, you'd discover pretty quickly that this was part of a larger altarpiece that he had created, and that it was painted in the 1470s, and that the pieces are dispersed in museums all over the United States and Europe. Another thing that you would do is come here to conservation, and this is one of the things that we did, and try to find out more about how it was made. That's something that really helps us to learn more about Crivelli as a master painter. How did he go about what he did, and what he did so well? One of the reasons behind doing an exhibition at the Gardner is not just to bring our own works of art into a context so that our visitors, so you guys can better understand them, but it's also to allow you to get up close to them. Because in the galleries, that's difficult, you know? There's furniture in front of them, many of them are hung high on the walls. And so here in the exhibition, you'll be able to get close and to really look carefully at the surface of this painting like you can do now here on the easel.
Not a lot is known about Crivelli's life. So how does that make it challenging or interesting to do an exhibition about Crivelli?
You can bring works together in a way that they can talk to one another, and they might be able to tell you more about that artist's life and their career and who they worked for than any piece of paper or document might be able to do. We do know that he was very successful in painting religious pictures, and this painting is not just a gallery painting on our wall in the museum, but it's a fragment of a much larger object. These are the other paintings. So here's the St. George now at the Gardner. And these are the other surviving paintings from this altarpiece. And that's something that you can actually see here by looking at it outside of the frame. Part of the reason why it's not painted in those areas, because it wasn't originally intended to be in the frame that it is today in the Gardner. But in fact, it was in a much larger frame that was originally applied to the surface of this painting. When this painting was pulled apart from the other paintings in this complex, it left these areas, an area like this, which would have originally had a framing element attached to it.
We were able to ask questions about the painting and get immediate answers from experts who knew a lot more about the painter, the background, and exactly what was going on in the painting physically. So it was a very different experience because you see things that you haven't noticed before.
It was a lot of fun to work with the students today. They ask terrific questions and they react to a lot of things immediately in a way that adults might be more guarded about or worried about making a mistake. So you can tell that they're looking very closely.